Welcome to Clutch City Chatter. I'm Jeff. Hey, so today is Game 3 of the World Series. Astros versus Phillies. First game in Philadelphia tonight. Before we get into that, if you enjoy my videos, consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. That would be wonderful. Thank you. All right, so I started to put a video together after Game 1 of the World Series, but it was hard to be very positive in that video, and I try not to, I've in all of my videos, if you've watched them from front to end or whatever, you'll see that I'm not a complete homer. I don't just whatever the Astros do, however bad they play or whatever. I don't say, oh, they were still great. I point out the flaws or the mistakes that they've made and what's going to get them in trouble. But that doesn't mean I'm any less of a fan of the Astros. I absolutely love them, and I have my entire life. And so I am pulling for them 110%. But after that game, I was so disappointed in Justin Verlander that I decided I should not post a video that really was slamming him. But I want to also say that I did make a post onto an Astro Facebook page that I'm a part of, and what I said was I feel certain that the Astros will win the rest of the games in the World Series that Justin Verlander does not pitch in. And I got slammed by somebody for making that statement. And so, I just wanted to ask my fellow friends that watch these videos if someone would care to comment in below. That would be great. Do you guys want to hear from people that only point out the great things about a team and have complete faith in every single player on that team? Or do you like hearing about mistakes made or bad plays, pitches that shouldn't have happened, along with the positive good stuff? I ask you that because, like I said in that post, I totally believe the Astros will win this World Series. And I am a Justin Verlander fan. Absolutely. I think he's a tremendous regular season pitcher. His hopefully third Cy Young this year will proves that fact. But also his 0-6 record, 0 wins, 6 losses in World Series games that he's started, and it really should be 0 wins and 7 losses after this last start. Of course, he didn't give up the winning run. He just gave up the tying run, all 5 runs that tied the game. So it's hard to sit here with a straight face and say he's a good playoff pitcher. His record proves otherwise. Hopefully he'll continue making the playoffs, getting opportunities to pitch, and he can reverse that trend. But as of right now, he's not a good playoff pitcher. Certainly not a good World Series pitcher at this point. And I hope that I am proven wrong and that he wins his next start, because that would be most likely Game 5 of the World Series. Be the last game in Philly. So, with that said, I think that they let one get away in Game 1. The Astros should have been ahead at that point, 1-0. So Philly claimed the home field advantage then. But Game 2 was a great recovery by the Astros. They came out with fire. Framber Valdez was absolutely dominant. It's really good to see. He's one of those pitchers that when he's on, he's unreal. He's unbelievable, as 26 straight consecutive good starts proves. But when he's off, it can get ugly quick. The thing that does always give me comfort when knowing usually if he's going to get beat, it's going to be um, consecutive hits, base hits, and or walks, uh, errors that end up beating him. It won't be a home run ball. And so many teams now rely on the home run ball that it's frightening, when you get a pitcher that is not a ground ball pitcher, which is what Fromber is. So, it's kind of comforting knowing he's a ground ball pitcher. He's given up the absolute fewest home runs in the big leagues. He's the hardest to hit a home run against in the big leagues. So Fromber was dominant, and that was wonderful to see. And if he has to pitch again, most likely it would be Game 6 if the series is still going. And you can feel pretty good and pretty confident about getting a victory in that game. All right. So also though, Jose Altuve has shown signs of life. He opened up Game 2 with a double that was great. It was struck really well. Good exit velocity down into the left field corner. And so that was a wonderful way to start the game. It really got the guys going. You could tell from the dugout the way they were standing at the railing, cheering, hollering, clapping for Jose. They were so happy for him, and that got the whole team going. And then, of course, the next batter, and the first pitch of the next batter, Jeremy Pena, he roped a ground ball past third baseman down into the corner also for another double, scoring Jose Altuve. And so the Astros were off and running. And, of course, following Jeremy Pena was Yordan Alvarez, who on the second pitch hit a ball off the wall in left field for a double, scoring Jeremy Pena. And so that was, of course, when we scored another run that inning on an error. So it was 3-0 after one inning. Typically, the Astros are really, really hard to beat if they get a couple runs in the first inning. I'll tell you what, watching Kyle Schwarber in left field for the Phillies, that is almost comical. He clearly is not a good fielder out there. The way he plays off the wall, I know that he doesn't have the experience playing off the wall the way Astros left fielders do. But they do practice, that they do practice when they get to Houston, taking balls off the wall and it ricocheting, way away from him. He's just not playing it very well. Not that, hey, keep doing it, man. I mean, it's benefiting the Astros. That's great. He probably could have held Yordan to a single if he had backed off and played it right off the wall. But, hey, okay. Keep going, Kyle. Hey, did any of y'all catch this? That apparently Martin Maldonado was using an illegal bat in Game 1. Here's the situation if you didn't hear about it. Martin contacted Albert Pujols and asked for one of Albert's bats. Albert sent him a bat to use. I guess Martin's like, hey, this guy, he's one of the best hitters ever in baseball. Maybe a little of his luck will rub off on me. So he batted with Albert Pujols' bat in Game 1. Turns out that there was a league rule change. There was a change in the diameter width of a bat allowed. Major League Baseball changed their guidelines as to what was acceptable in a bat, the barrel width. And they grandfathered in people that had been playing prior to 2010. So Albert Pujols, of course, was playing many years before 2010. So he was allowed to continue using a bat larger in width, the barrel size, the part, to hit the baseball with a larger barrel bat than current players. Now, does that seem strange to you? I mean, I know a lot of things in life when they get grandfathered in, a lot of rules, in jobs, things get grandfathered in. But in a sport that is, a competitive sport with millions of dollars on the line, uh, supposed to be competitors are all facing the same thing, equally. If one batter has a bat that is larger width, it is much easier to hit the ball than a smaller width bat. It just doesn't seem very fair to me that would be grandfathered in. So thankfully, that came out before game two. Martine's gone back to using his old bats because, good grief, all the Astros need is another accusation of cheating. One guy, our catcher who hits under 200, was using an illegal bat for him, but not illegal for Albert Pujols to use that bat. Stupid. Some stupid rules. Okay, so tonight, of course, the Astros are in Philadelphia, and there's a lot of talk about how raucous the Philly crowd is, how difficult it's going to be for the Astros to get a win in Philadelphia because of the crowd. And I find that interesting because, granted, I have not paid much attention to the Phillies in years because the Astros are in the American League, Phillies in the National, so I don't pay much attention to them. But it's hard for me to believe that the Philadelphia crowd could be much worse than the New York crowd, at least as far as being ugly and rude and hateful towards the Astros. I'm sure that they're better in the sense that they don't boo their players the way Yankee fans boo Judge and several other players on their team when they're not doing well. I know Philly doesn't do that, so that's great for them. That is, but I can't imagine them being rougher and more hateful and louder in their disgust of the Astros than what New York is. And the Astros have had no problems playing in New York for years. So I really think the Astros are going to play their ball in Philadelphia. They're not going to let the fans disrupt their play. If anything, I think it'll have the same effect on them as the New York fans do, which is to motivate them to really get them rolling. So I'm kind of excited to see how they do in Philadelphia because they've been pretty amazing in places where they face such dislike. Lance McCullers, of course, is pitching tonight. He had a great game to close out the New York Yankees series, and so hopefully, he's still on his game. I think that I hope that he has a relatively short leash. We have such a good bullpen, and it's hard to sit here and say anything negative about how Dusty's managed. Most of Dusty's decisions and buttons pushed this playoff season, postseason, have worked. But I'm curious about some of the things, such as you have put Will Smith, the left-handed reliever, onto the active roster for the World Series. The only left-handed reliever on the Astros. And last year, he was on the Atlanta Braves, and he was their closer. So he definitely has World Series experience. Not only that, he has faced the Phillies many, many times. They're both in the National League East Division. So he's faced them many times. And the Phillies have a couple of really good left-handed batters, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. And so in Game 2, Rafael Montero got out of the seventh inning. And normally, 80 to 85% of the games that Montero has appeared in this season, he has pitched that one inning, gone into the dugout, and he's done for the day. But now that we're in the World Series, Dusty has him pitch the seventh, get out of it, and then he's on the bench while we're batting, and then he opens up the eighth inning with Montero's back out there. So he's doing something that Montero very rarely does, pitch consecutive innings. So I already was a little bit leery and concerned why you would do that to a guy that doesn't do that very often. So the big thing was you've got Kyle Schwarber coming up. You've got Bryce Harper most likely coming up that inning. Why wouldn't you start the inning with your left-handed pitcher, Will Smith? You saw how dang close Kyle Schwarber came to hitting 2 home runs. Can you imagine that? 2 home runs and one at bat. First one being called a home run, uh, and then upon review, it was a foul ball, and so he had to continue his at bat after running around the bases. I don't think I've ever seen that actually. Running around the bases, and then they said, "Oops, wrong. We made a mistake. It's a foul ball. Come back up here and bat." Um, and then hitting the ball all the way to the wall. And again, and this was against Montero, who's throwing him fastball, 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 fastball. And it's like, how about showing him something a little different? So I felt like the Astros really got lucky right there. It befuddles me why Will Smith wasn't in to pitch to Kyle Schwarber that inning. Man, how about that when Kyle Schwarber hit the second pitch all the way to the fence in right field? My heart sank as it was in the air, and to me, Tucker looked like he did not expect it to be in play. But man, that is one cool character, Kyle Tucker. He got back to the wall, just stood there and waited, and right into his glove, and he acted like, yeah, no big deal. I knew all along it was going to be short. So here are a couple of more designs of t-shirts and caps and pajamas that are for sale at my Etsy store. Again, you can click on the link in the description of this video. So underneath the video, there's a description. Probably have to go all the way down to the bottom, but there's a description along with any links that I may suggest clicking on. So, all right, let's get our Astro gear on, get in front of the TV sets, and cheer the Houston Astros on to victory tonight in Game 3 of the World Series. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk with you again soon. And remember, swing for the fences!